I'll get to in a second. But I want to get back to reading these elements out of this article. Because once again, I don't remember. Do you remember, Brett, at all during the 2018 campaign and Nancy Pelosi saying that she was not, when she was saying, I'm going to hold Trump accountable, that she would keep impeachment off the table and let him self-impeach himself?
It was all about, bringing balance and holding them accountable.
Exactly. I don't remember her saying, oh, well, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to let him self-impeach. Really?
Exactly what happened after Bush, too.
Yeah, exactly. It is. No, and I'll get to that, too, here in a sec, okay? Pelosi announced in a letter to the members on Wednesday that the House will hold Trump administration in contempt of the census, Donnybrook. Ooh, really getting him, aren't you? I asked about, this is Maureen Dowd is writing the article. I asked about the political report that she privately told Jerry Nadler and other Democrats about the president. I don't want to see him impeached. I want to see him in prison. She said, I didn't exactly say that, and noted, you can't impeach everybody. People wanted Reagan impeached, but it didn't happen. He should have been impeached for Iran-Contra. Absolutely should have. And you just shrug. Okay, they impeached Clinton for something so ridiculous, getting impeached from doing a dumb thing as a guy, and then they wanted to impeach Obama, and now comes Trump, who she says has given real cause for impeachment. But you're not going to impeach him. What does she think about the latest sexual assault accusations from E. Jean Carroll, the New York writer, who said Trump attacked her in a Bergdorf's dressing room in the 1990s? I respect the case she has, but I don't see any role for Congress, Pelosi said, and she marveled how is he president? Access Hollywood, porn stars, all the rest. What else is new about him? I don't know if someone held him accountable. I don't know, like the Congress, who could clearly say sexual assault is a crime, and so started investigation in the House of the sexual assault claim. You could maybe impeach him with that alone. Dear God, heaven forbid you do your freaking job. God. I asked her if dealing with the Neanderthals who were still roaming the Capitol's marble halls when she first got to Congress taught her how to handle a caveman like Trump. She said the president is always courteous with her in private, but also conceded, I've never encountered it, though, about seeing him within the realm of my experience as a child or adult, anybody like this. Bill Clinton upended the party with his reckless, selfish affair with an intern. Barack Obama never could have scooted past Clinton, Inc. without Pelosi's well-manicured thumb on the scale for him, and he certainly could not have passed the Affordable Care Act without her muscle. But in the midterms that followed, Pelosi lost 63 of her foot soldiers to the gavel. Some of the party felt that President Obama had failed to supply enough air cover for the members who had gone out on the limb. No. Stop rewriting history. You should have been far more proud of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and you should have been. This was, okay, I'll get back to that in a second. I actually think that we might have a better shot at getting more of what the Democrats wanted in the bill. This is the bill about the border issue. One thing she understands the public view of things. She said that when she urged Trump to speak to Xi Jinping about the religious freedom in democracy of Hong Kong, he typically was focused on the size of the crowd of the protest. Did you see? They had 2 million people in the streets. Pelosi, and I'm not going to read the rest of it. She goes on to basically talk about how I met Bono. And I'm dead serious. So I go on Fox News, and when I got to this, I brought up 3 things. And once again, what did you say you were going to do? What did you say you were going to do? I think that I really think that there is I don't know. I'll get to my theories here in a second. But first of all, she badmouths the Democrats. She very clearly is badmouthing the Democrats and proudly saying, I worked with the Republicans at the behest of the Democrats, who, by the way, once again, I want to remind you, on the issue at hand we're talking about was the concentration camps Trump is running on the border, and that the progressive Democrats wanted to have more assurances of the safety of the children. That is what they are fighting for. And Nancy Pelosi is acting like stopping that and voting them down and working with the moderate Republicans is some sort of grand win for the party. What a freaking idiot. Dear God. But she also goes on, she clearly in the articles, she tries to play both sides and say, oh, well, I don't know anyone else like Trump, but they misrepresented me when I said I wanted him in jail and not impeached. Well, what do you want then? You don't seem to want anything. The mistake that the Democrats made that led to 2010 was Nancy Pelosi and the House leadership at that time promising a full investigation and to hold people accountable for the Iraq war, which they never did. And then in 2008, they said, put us back in charge and we'll have a full investigation into the Wall Street crisis. Guaranteed. They, to my knowledge, never called one bank CFO, chief financial officer, not one, to testify, because all you had to do is call one of them in and say, show us your money in, money out. When they couldn't, you could slap the cuffs on them because they just broke the law. They didn't even call the CFOs of these banks. They didn't do anything. They promised they were going to hold people accountable, and then they just wagged their finger at them. And they said, what are we going to do? And in the case of the banking crisis, she said, well, they've learned their lesson. For God's sakes, no, they haven't. Take a look at the banking industry now. It's just as unregulated and as wild as it ever has been. You didn't do squat after you promised. That's why the Democrats abandoned the party in 2010, because you kept promising accountability and you did not deliver. And here we are in 2018, and Nancy Pelosi is promising accountability in 2018. Put us in a power, we'll hold Trump in check. And now read this New York Times article. She is clearly saying she will not impeach Trump. If you're a Republican, you read that, you're doing backflips. You're doing backflips because she won't do it. You're making the same exact mistakes of the past. And you got your cabooses handed to you in 2010 because you did not follow through on your promise of accountability. The Republicans can make up a freaking scandal and get every Republican in this country to march in unison on the White House. We have a guy who is the most criminal president in the history of this country. We have a Republican investigation that came on out and said he is guilty of 10 counts of obstruction of justice, and he likely worked with the Russians. For God's sakes, we've got allegations of sexual assault. We got him lying and campaign finance problems by paying off a porn star. For God's sakes, you have an insane amount of stuff you could go after this guy on, and you're basically saying he's going to self-impeach? We'll get him afterwards, Matt. Matt. Come on, Matt. We'll get him afterwards. He'll walk out of the office. He'll run to Russia. He'll stay in Moscow, and we'll get our wagging fingers out. Oh, waggity, waggity, waggity. You're incompetent. For God's sakes, it's the easiest freaking layup on the history of the country. Robert Mueller, a Republican, was pleading with you to do this. And you're not doing it. Not only that, going after AOC, what are you doing? You clearly dislike members of your own party more than the Republicans. That is not the Speaker of the freaking House. That is not a Democratic Speaker. That is someone who's an opportunist. Dear God. And let's go back to something else here that kind of gets skipped over in this whole thing. A few notes here that she put out here. They got 4 people. That's how many votes they've got. Said the 4 made themselves irrelevant in the process by voting against our bill. They made yourself... I thought this, you have to vote our way or else, was a Republican thing. When did that become the standard for the Democrats? When did that happen? I mean, and once again, their standard was they're withholding their vote because they felt as if they could get more for the kids that are being held in concentration camps on the border. When did you come up with this whole idea that every Democrat has to vote in unison for what you say? Please. And you basically dismiss, I mean, if you're in Minnesota 5 like I am, Ilhan Omar's my House rep, nice to hear the Speaker of the House basically saying that our district does not matter. Even though we like Ilhan Omar, even though Ilhan Omar has made some points, Speaker Pelosi, I mean, if you're a Democrat and you got money and you want to make a donation to the Democratic Party right now, let me just say, why? You're being told your district doesn't matter. This is not me. Do not you dare get mad at me. This is the Speaker of the freaking House saying this. This interview is a freaking nightmare. I have no idea what Nancy Pelosi is even thinking in this. To give you an idea of where Nancy Pelosi is at, the two bozos I was on the air with on Fox News thought she was just great. Oh, I disagree with Nancy Pelosi like 100% of the time, but she's completely correct on this. You should not impeach Trump. Of course they don't want you to impeach Trump because they don't want to have to sit there and defend him. They don't want the trial. They don't want the accountability.